As the investigation continues, he's asked to type up a memo based on his interviews with other witnesses and submit it to his superiors. Holt's understanding is that the document will be shared with the British government. Holt does as he is told and submits a memo entitled Unexplained Lights. He writes, "The individuals reported seeing a strange glowing object in the forest. The object was described as being metallic in appearance and triangular in shape. It is not a definitive report. Many of the details are missing or incorrect, and the descriptions at times are vague."
The memo was not meant for public consumption. It was meant as a tickler, if you will, to the Ministry of Defense to get them involved to do a proper investigation.
His superiors filed the memo away, and the strange lights never returned to the base. Eventually, rumors of an extraterrestrial craft die down. For 3 years, the public is kept in the dark about what happened at the air bases. Then, in 1983, a new witness surfaces with a startling claim about the UFO encounter, one that will only deepen the mystery of Rendlesham. October 2nd, 1983. The British Sunday tabloid News of the World hits newsstands with the headline, "UFO lands in Suffolk, and that's official." The article claims that a mysterious craft, moving under intelligent control, invaded the skies above the Woodbridge-Bentwaters air bases in late December 1980. But most intriguing is the offering of a piece of written evidence, an official U.S. Air Force memo confirming the alleged sightings. The document was written by one of the men who encountered the mysterious object, Deputy Base Commander Charles Holt.
Every local radio, TV station, Japanese TV, German TV, I had people swarming all over the place wanting to know the real story.
From there onwards, every single newspaper in the United Kingdom was featuring this story for about a week.
The memo, titled Unexplained Lights, offers a brief description of the late December encounters. It includes Jim Peniston's description of a strange object that maneuvered through the trees, as well as Holt's account of a red, sun-like object in the night sky. But how was the story leaked to the public? The document, known as the Holt Memo, was brought to light by Larry Warren, a former Air Force security policeman at Bentwaters. He's blunt when he explains why he did it.
I want to drag people right by their hair through the thing and say, this happened.
He was the one who brought this whole thing to public attention. It was his information specifically that resulted in a Freedom of Information Act that resulted in the release of the so-called Holt document. And once that single sheet of paper was out, the toothpaste was out of the tube.
Warren has received both praise and criticism for his candidness. The story he tells begins like the others, but the ending is even more bizarre. In late 1980, Warren was a 19-year-old security policeman stationed at Bentwaters. According to Warren, after midnight on December 29th, he is removed from his post and ordered to the woods to assist with Colonel Holt's investigation. When he reaches a clearing, he sees a group of military personnel surrounding a glowing object.
In this field was this object on the ground. It's like a science fiction movie, but there was something alive associated with it. It didn't come out any doors, there were no windows, it was this thing, and it was changing all the time.
As he draws within a few feet of the craft, Warren says he witnesses an amazing sight. There are officers and airmen facing the object, and 3 small glowing entities standing in the light.
What he observes and the other men observe that are in proximity is 3 humanoid shapes.
There was something separate from it with these 3, what you would perceive as kids.
Warren then watches as a senior officer begins communicating with the beings.
The senior people there seemed to be following like a protocol. It seemed to be there was a procedure.
Warren is then pulled from the clearing. He's given no explanation for what he's just seen. The next day, he says he is brought into a room with other witnesses for debriefing. He remembers a film projector and 3 men in suits.
They showed us the different films of UFO military activity going back probably, I don't know, 40s.
Like other witnesses, Warren says the more he is questioned, the more distorted his memories become. He remembers what happens next as a series of scenes that make little sense. Warren recalls being taken against his will by men in dark suits, then being led to an underground facility on the base.
I remember being on a table and people talking to me, and, you know, doctors and Air Force people behind them. I have another memory of being in a kind of like a mess hall and trying to eat something and kind of being alone at a table. It's imagery. I mean, this could all have been plugged into my head.
Warren says he isn't sure if what he remembers is real, or if these images were planted by military investigators in order to confuse him and distract him from what really occurred. After the Rendlesham story breaks, Warren's accusations infuriate other witnesses. These airmen and officers say they too want the truth revealed, but that Warren's story is anything but.
It hurt the whole incident as far as this is, something really did happen to us, but there's no way, the way he was describing it, what happened to us, and it wasn't fair to the people that were involved to have that kind of extreme stuff come out.
Parts of his story do correspond with other eyewitness accounts. Warren, like Charles Halt and Jim Peniston, recalls seeing a glowing craft in the clearing of the Rendlesham Woods shortly after Christmas 1980. But Larry Warren is the only airman who claims he saw alien life forms. Another problem with Warren's version of events is that no one can remember seeing him in the woods on the night in question.
Nobody ever recalls him being out there that night. I've talked to all the players and just about everybody that was on even the fringes, and nobody remembers seeing Larry Warren anywhere except around the base in training.
Warren remains steadfast in his convictions.
I've never lost a minute's sleep over my role in this. I've never intentionally misrepresented anything, lied, or tried to gain anything unfairly.
The contradictions surrounding the Rendlesham case have proven frustrating for UFO researchers. While there are multiple credible witnesses, airmen trained to be good observers and remain calm under extreme circumstances, the discrepancies between their stories are difficult to ignore. In the years that follow, researchers struggle to unravel the mystery. Then, in 2002, declassified government files reveal new facts about those mysterious nights in the woods.
Our next speaker will present updates about the mysterious, unidentified lights, beams, and craft seen by at least 30 military men that fateful last week of December 1980. She will be joined by one of these eyewitnesses who's gone on to actively engage the research of the events and other witnesses there at that time. He was an airman first class assigned to RAF Bentwaters police duty in December of 1980. This speaker is one of the leading researchers and journalists in the world dealing with the UFO ET phenomena for over 20 years and almost needs no introduction. A graduate of Stanford University with a master's degree in communications, she has devoted her documentary film, television, radio, writing, and reporting career to productions concerning science, medicine, and the environment, and received local, national, and international awards, including but not limited to 3 regional Emmys, a national Emmy nomination, and a Station Peabody Award for medical programming. Her documentaries have included Poison in the Wind and A Sun-Kissed Poison, which compared smog pollution in Los Angeles and Denver, Fire in the Water, about hydrogen as an alternative energy source to fossil fuels, A Radioactive Water, about uranium contamination in public drinking water in a Denver suburb, A Prairie Dawn, about astronaut training in Denver, and the documentaries that launched her into the UFO ET issue, A Strange Harvest and Strange Harvests, 1993, which explored the worldwide animal mutilation mystery that has haunted the United States and other countries since the 1960s and continues to this day. Linda Moulton Howe has also produced documentaries in Ethiopia and Mexico for UNICEF about child survival efforts, and for Turner Broadcasting in Atlanta about environmental challenges. And of course, last night, here at the X Conference 2010, she received the PRG Award for this year for Courage in Journalism. Please welcome Linda Moulton Howe and later John Burroughs to X Conference 2010.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for the award last night. I wonder how many of you here are deeply aware of the details of RAF Bentwaters. But in terms of a lot of research, you're not deeply aware. Well, I'm going to start with just setting the stage geographically a little bit in history, and then we're going to go deeper and deeper into some of the military voices from that time who have, in some cases, emerged only recently, and in one case, 2 cases, 2 men have said to me that I am the only reporter that they have talked with in 30 years, and that they were never debriefed once, no matter what they were doing at RAF Bentwaters, and that becomes a theme that you will know is sort of a large box of this incredible phenomena that you're going to see unfolding, that all of the men who were there in one night, there may have been at least 35 out in the forest with Colonel Halt. And yet, in terms of what we would expect on a major air base in December 1980 that was joint between the United States and the United Kingdom, there was only a policy of denial. It didn't happen. And yet all of those men and women, a few women were there, and you will hear from one today. They knew that they were not seeing a lighthouse or Mars or Venus or anything that was spread out into the media later on, as this could not be what people were saying. And from an investigative reporter's point of view, I personally think in many ways that RAF Bentwaters has the potential to be a leverage point that is greater than Roswell. So as we begin, I'm going to take you first, where is this place? It's northeast of London, where the coast faces the North Sea, or it's in Suffolk County, and the towns that are around there are Woodbridge and Butley and Ipswich and Orford Ness. And in 1942, the British Royal Air Force constructed an air base between Buckley and Tunstall, which is the large pink circle near the top of the map, on the northeastern edge of Rendlesham Forest, and they called it RAF Butley. That was about 4 miles northeast of RAF Woodbridge, and that is the large pink circle on the left. More trees were planted to enlarge Rendlesham Forest to help cover up World War II military activities. So it was very important to what was happening in England during World War II. To the south was the RAF Bodsey Chain Home Radar Station, the bottom pink circle on the map. that during World War II monitored the launch of V-2 rockets from Germany. Although there was no defense against the German V-2